lot of project proponents, people who want to build their projects, they kind of escape from public disclosure of their EIAs because less than 500 acres you don't have to publicly disclose it. Are you considering amending that? Is the government considering looking into it so they don't escape that?
Well, we are looking into EIA in total. I mean, that is part of it. There's also the issue of which gets published, what doesn't get published under Jadual 1, Jadual 2. So the procedures, if you can make it better. I think we are already moving ahead with the penalties to make it stiffer. So yeah, I mean, we are having that was one of the first things I said when I came into office is how do we make. I mean, EIA, I think, it was very sophisticated for its time. That was the time, I mean, 1974, we also started to have our own environment and local government ministry. That's the first time you have the portfolio environment. But it was also the same time in the US that you had Environmental Protection Agency, EPA, and it was the same time that the UK, that was actually the first, I think a few years before us, the first Secretary of State for the Environment. So actually, we were quite up there. But obviously then, the world has moved on. So how do we make the ACAS, the Act, to be relevant with our needs today? I mean, that's something that we really have to put a lot of effort to, so that there's not a lot of loopholes that parties who want to develop can get away with.
You mentioned heavier penalties. What kind of penalties are we talking about?
Fines and imprisonment. Yeah.
In addition to that, the project proponents who hire third-party consultants to draft these EIAs, do you think this is a conflict of interest?
Well, we were talking about it. Yeah, I mean, I've raised it. I mean, I've mentioned it in Parliament as well, the issue of impartiality and all that. In an ideal situation, we've seen like I think in MBPJ, what they've done with some of when people want to do the DOs and all that, development orders, you put the money in a pool, and then MBPJ will select who gets to become the consultant. So there's a wall, right, between the project proponent and the consultant to avoid consultant shopping. The challenge is EIA is on a different scale, right? I mean, it's not. I mean, MBPJ. I mean, with all due respect, I live in PJ, but that's that. But to do it on a national scale, that is something that I think we need to really beef up the DOE and all that. So I think, I mean, if that is possible and is practicable, I think, I'm the first to support it. But I don't want to announce, that we commit to something and we are not able to do it. But publicly, I've said that is one of the things so that we can not just be fair or but also being seen to be fair. Right? I mean, I think sometimes, I mean, maybe the consultant is fair. I mean, they're professionals. But what we do is now, like, DOE has certain, because they are all registered with the DOE and all that, then we just have to really meticulously audit and check the work of the consultants so that they adhere to the professional code and of conduct. Yeah.
So just to clarify, the ministry is not looking into federal regulation of drawing that wall between.
Well, we are considering it. The challenge is the scale, because DOE, the number of EIAs that you have to do, and then because then you have to have the DOE to do the selection of the consultants, and that is what we find that, because I saw what MBPJ did and I did propose, but of course how many projects that MBPJ deal with as opposed to how many projects that DOE at a national level deal with, and that's the two different things that we are still trying to rationalize. So I think that's the challenge, but we are, we are looking at all angles to find how we can improve the EIA. But as of now, I can't say that we are for certain to go this way or that way.
So 47 million ringgit was allocated in the budget to extend and improve the facilities at the existing Pulau Tuman airport. Right?
Yeah.
Also, but in the KLIACS report in 2017, it did not recommend extending the current Bukit airport because it would involve reconstruction of the airport and like cutting away at the hills and stuff. So, what is the government's plan for this? Are you extending it into the inland or on the sea? And will there be an EIA on this? What's the impacts?
Well, first of all, we haven't received any EIA documents on the matter. We were also looking at a few options. You have to remember that the first was it's about building an entirely new airport, and that would have involved massive relocation of corals, and impact to the kampungs as well as to the fisheries there and all that. And that, we in cabinet we decided that we could not proceed with that because that's a marine park. But at the same time, we also recognize that the status quo, because the current airstrip that's there in Tioman, it's not even big enough for a Firefly route. It's they say it's possible, but our civil aviation authorities do not recommend because you have to make technically sharp turns and whatnot to do that, and that the risk is too high. So that's why we're looking. I mean, there's a proposal to rather than build a brand new airport on reclaimed land on the sea that will destroy the corals for wide body airplanes. That was that proposal. So this is merely to allow for ATR planes, for Firefly Malindo planes from Subang to be able to land there. And I think obviously when the EIA proposals come to us, then we will consider it and look at it in detail. And again, I mean, just as when we found that the reclamation proposal was not tenable, the government decided not to proceed with it. So I think that is something that is very much possible. Yeah, I mean, basically what I'm saying is, we will get the proposal is there. We'll get the when it reaches the EIA. Sorry. I don't know. I mean, I'm not the Ministry of Transport, so that is they will go through that process. When it reaches our hands in terms of the for the EIA approval, then we will look at it. That's our role as NRECC.